There's a quiet truth the world rarely speaks about. The more we fight life, the heavier it becomes. Zen masters have been teaching for centuries that peace doesn't come from control, it comes from letting go. In the next hour, you won't get quick tips or shallow positivity. You'll hear timeless Zen parables and deep Buddhist teachings designed to dissolve resistance, soften your grip on life, and guide you into a state where things can finally flow again. If you've been pushing against what is, if your mind feels tense from trying to make life obey your plans, or if peace has felt far away, this is the place you've been needing to arrive at. So, before we begin, take a moment to like the video, but only if this space brings you calm. And let me know in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is for you. I love seeing how far this moment of stillness travels across the world. Now, dim the lights, lie down in the most comfortable position your body knows. Let your breath begin to slow, and gently, let's step together into a space where there's nothing left to resist, only life as it is. Chapter 1. The invitation to stop fighting life. There's a quiet truth the world rarely speaks about. The more we fight life, the heavier it becomes. You've probably felt it before. That tightness in the chest when something didn't go the way you planned. That restless stirring in the mind, replaying the same thought over and over as if thinking it harder could change reality. That invisible resistance in the body, like trying to swim upstream while the river keeps pulling the other way. Zen masters have been teaching for centuries that peace doesn't come from control, it comes from letting go. Tonight, in the next hour, you won't get quick tips or shallow positivity. You'll be guided through timeless Zen parables and deep Buddhist teachings designed to dissolve resistance, soften your grip on life, and open you to a gentler way of being. Each story carries a seed, and if you simply listen, the seed will plant itself quietly in your mind, growing without effort, without force. If lately you've been pushing against what is, if your mind feels tense from trying to make life obey your plans, or if peace has felt far away, like a distant shore, this is where you can finally set down your oars. So, before we begin, take a moment to like the video, but only if this space brings you calm. And let me know in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is for you. I love seeing how far this moment of stillness travels, and how many people find it at the exact moment they need it. Now, dim the lights. Lie down in the most comfortable position your body knows. Let your breath begin to slow, not by forcing it, but by simply noticing it. Notice the way the air comes in, cool and soft through your nose. Notice the way it leaves, warmer now, carrying with it the weight of everything you don't need to hold. Allow your shoulders to drop, unclench your jaw. Let your eyes feel heavy, even if they're still open. There is nothing you need to do, nothing you need to fix, no part of you that needs to be different for this moment to be enough. As we begin, imagine a gate in front of you. It's simple wooden, weathered by years of wind and rain. It's not locked, it's not even fully closed. You can see soft light spilling through the gap. This is the gate of stillness. With each breath, feel yourself stepping closer to it. Feel the ground under your feet, steady and unchanging. Listen to the faint rustle of leaves in the distance. The world outside the gate will keep moving, but here, in this moment, there's no rush to follow it. When you step through, you leave behind the arguments with life, the should have and shouldn't have thoughts, the why me and if only that keep your mind tied in knots. In here, there's only space. Space to hear your own breath. Space to listen to the silence beneath every word. Space to simply be without having to wrestle the moment into a different shape. So take one last look at the gate and step through. The hour ahead will be a journey through rivers that flow without struggle, through bamboo that bends without breaking, through moonlight that cannot be stolen. Each story will be a lantern, each teaching a small release, until you are lighter than when you began. This is the invitation to stop fighting life, to let the river carry you instead of swimming against the current, to discover that the peace you've been chasing has been here, waiting, all along. Chapter 2. The river that never resists. There is a river in the mountains of Japan that never stops moving. It does not roar like some rivers do. It doesn't crash violently over rocks. It simply flows. A Zen master once brought a student to its edge. They sat together in silence, watching the current wind its way around stones, tree roots, and fallen branches. After a long while, the master spoke. "Do you see how the river meets an obstacle?" The student nodded. It doesn't stop. It doesn't turn back. It doesn't fight. They watched as a small branch floated downstream, spinning slowly in the current. When it met a rock, it didn't push hard against it. It turned, it slid along the surface, and continued its way. This, the master said, is how life asks us to move. We waste our energy trying to push through every obstacle, as if our worth depends on winning. But the river teaches something different. It meets each stone without resistance, and because of that, it always finds a way forward. Reflection. We are taught to fight for every inch, push harder, think faster, work longer. And yet, how many times has that left you tired, tangled, or even further from where you wanted to be? Resistance feels like control, but it's not. It's a tightening and narrowing of our vision, until we can only see the problem, never the path around it. The river shows us another way. It doesn't become less of a river because it changes course. It doesn't lose its strength when it bends. Its power is in its softness, and its softness is what makes it unstoppable. When we stop trying to bulldoze reality into the shape we want, we begin to see openings we missed before. We can move around obstacles instead of breaking ourselves against them. This isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's the understanding that life was never meant to be a wrestling match with the present moment. Meditative imagery. Affirmations. Close your eyes. Picture yourself as water in this river. Cool, clear, moving without effort. You feel the stones beneath you smooth, unthreatening. When you meet one, you simply move around it. The current carries you forward, always forward. Breathe in, breathe out, and let these words sink in. I move with life, not against it. I trust that every obstacle is just part of the path. I flow forward with ease. The Zen master and his student sat by that river until the light began to fade. The water was still moving, just as it had for centuries. And the student, who had come with so many questions about his struggles, realized something. Life didn't need him to win against it. It only needed him to move with it. Chapter 3. The Farmer's Luck. There was once an old farmer who lived in a quiet village. He owned a single horse, his most valuable possession. One day, the horse ran away. The neighbors came to offer their sympathy. "How unlucky," they said. The farmer simply replied, "Maybe." A week later, the horse returned, bringing with it 3 wild horses from the hills. The neighbors were amazed. "How lucky," they said. The farmer again replied, "Maybe." The next day, the farmer's son tried to ride one of the wild horses. It threw him off, and he broke his leg. The neighbors came again. "How unlucky," they said. The farmer replied, "Maybe." A month later, soldiers came to the village, drafting every young man for war. When they saw the farmer's son with a broken leg, they left him behind. The neighbors rushed over. "How lucky," they said. And once again, the farmer simply replied, "Maybe." Reflection. We spend so much of life labeling events. Good, bad, success, failure. We react quickly, as if we can know the full truth of a moment while still standing in it. But the farmer's quiet maybe is a reminder that life's story is never finished in a single chapter. What we think is a tragedy may lead to something beautiful. What we celebrate today may turn into a challenge tomorrow. When we stop rushing to judge, we create space for life to reveal its meaning in its own time. We stop clinging to good and running from bad, and instead, we meet each moment with openness. This doesn't mean we stop feeling joy or sorrow. It means we stop resisting their flow. We let them pass through, knowing that neither is the final word on our life. Meditative imagery, APA, affirmations. Close your eyes. Imagine you are standing in a wide open field. The sky is shifting, clouds drifting, sun breaking through, rain falling, then stopping. Each change feels natural, not something to hold on to or push away. As you breathe, repeat softly, I release the need to label every moment. I trust that life will reveal its meaning in time. I welcome each change with an open heart. The old farmer never claimed to know whether something was truly lucky or unlucky. He lived in the quiet space between judgment and acceptance. And in that space, there was peace. Chapter 4, Carrying the Woman. 2 monks were travelling together on a long, muddy road. Rain had been falling for days, turning the ground into a thick, sticky mess. As they rounded a bend, they came upon a young woman standing by a deep puddle. She wore a silk kimono far too fine for the road and looked distressed. Without hesitation, the older monk stepped forward. He lifted her into his arms, carried her across the puddle, and set her down gently on the other side. She thanked him softly, bowed, and went on her way. The younger monk said nothing. They continued walking. 1 hour passed. 2 hours. Still, the younger monk remained silent, though his expression was tight. Finally, unable to hold it in any longer, he spoke. Brother, you know our vows. We are not to touch women. Why did you carry her? The older monk smiled faintly. I set her down hours ago, he said. Why are you still carrying her? Reflection. How often do we do this? We hold on to something long after the moment has passed. A comment someone made years ago, a decision we regret, an action we cannot change. We carry these things in our minds, replaying them, feeding them, as if our suffering can rewrite the past. The truth is, the moment is already gone. The words have been spoken. The action has been taken. What remains is only our grip on it. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means loosening our hold on the memory so it no longer weighs us down. It means setting down the mental burden the way the older monk set down the woman, and continuing our walk with lighter steps. Meditative imagery, affirmations. Close your eyes. Picture yourself holding a heavy bag. It's filled with all the moments you've been carrying. Old arguments, mistakes, missed chances. Feel the weight of it in your hands. Now imagine setting it down on the side of the road. Watch yourself take a deep breath, turn away, and keep walking. Lighter, freer, unburdened. Breathe slowly and let these words settle. I let go of what is already gone. I choose to walk forward without old burdens. My past does not have to follow me. The older monk understood something simple but powerful. We cannot stop moments from arriving, but we can choose when to set them down. Chapter 5. The Empty Teacup. A respected scholar once visited a Zen master to learn about enlightenment. The scholar had read countless books, attended lectures, and debated spiritual ideas for years. He was certain he already understood much of what the master would say. They sat together in a quiet room. The master poured tea into the scholar's cup. He poured until the cup was full, but then he kept pouring. Tea spilled over the edge, onto the table, and finally onto the floor. The scholar couldn't stay silent any longer. Stop! The cup is full. It can't hold any more. The master set the teapot down and looked into the scholar's eyes. Like this cup, he said, you are full of your own opinions and beliefs. How can I show you anything new unless you first empty your cup? Reflection. We all carry our own full cups, ideas we're certain are true, beliefs we never question, stories about ourselves and the world that we cling to. But a mind that is already full has no room for new understanding. It resists change because it thinks it already knows. Emptying the cup doesn't mean erasing all that you've learned. It means loosening your grip enough to let in fresh perspective. It means allowing life to surprise you. It means meeting each moment not with the weight of "I know," but with the openness of "I'm willing to see." When we stop resisting new truths, simply because they don't match our old ones, we give ourselves the chance to grow in ways we couldn't have imagined. Meditative imagery. Affirmations. Close your eyes. Picture your mind as a simple teacup. Notice what's inside. Thoughts swirling, beliefs stacked high, memories crowding the edges. Now imagine gently tipping the cup over. The contents spill out quietly, easily. The cup is empty now. Light and open. Breathe deeply and repeat softly. I make space for new understanding. I release the need to know everything. I am open to being surprised by life. The scholar left the Zen master that day without a single answer to his questions, but with an empty cup, ready, at last, to truly receive. Chapter 6. The Moon Cannot Be Stolen. There was once a Zen master who lived in a small hut on the edge of a quiet village. His life was simple: a few worn robes, a wooden bowl, and the open sky above. One evening, while the master was out walking, a thief slipped into the hut. He found nothing worth taking except the master's bowl. He tucked it under his arm and left. When the master returned and saw the missing bowl, he simply smiled. The next night, as the moon rose over the hills, he stepped outside, looked up, and whispered to the absent thief, "I wish I could give you this too. The moon is far more beautiful than my bowl." Reflection. There are things in life that cannot be stolen. Your kindness, your inner peace, your ability to love. We spend so much energy guarding our possessions, our status, our pride, as if losing them means losing ourselves. But the moon reminds us, our deepest treasures are not in what we own, but in what we carry inside. When you live from that place, loss doesn't break you. It simply clears space for what cannot be taken. Even when life strips away what you thought you needed, there remains a quiet light, untouchable, constant, shining in the sky of your being. Meditative imagery. Affirmations. Close your eyes. Imagine a full moon above you, bathing everything in soft silver light. You feel its glow on your skin, steady and gentle. No one can reach up and take it from you. It belongs to everyone, and no one at the same time. As you breathe slowly, repeat, "My peace cannot be stolen. My worth does not depend on what I own. I carry my truest treasures within me." The thief never returned the bowl, but the Zen master never missed it. He still had the moon, the stars, and the quiet joy of knowing that nothing essential was ever lost. Chapter 7. The Wind and the Mountain. Long ago, the wind boasted that it could move anything in its path. It danced through valleys, bent trees to its will, and sent waves rolling across the seas. But then it came to a mountain. The wind blew hard, whistling and howling, wrapping itself around the cliffs. It blew from the east, then from the west, then from every direction it could find. But the mountain did not move. Days passed. The wind grew tired, but the mountain remained, silent, still, unmoved. Finally, the wind whispered, "How can you resist me?" The mountain replied, "I am not resisting you. I am simply being what I am." Reflection. We often think of resistance as force, as pushing back against what we don't want. But sometimes, the deepest strength comes not from pushing, but from staying rooted in what is true. The wind will always come in the form of criticism, change, loss, or uncertainty. If we meet it with frantic movement, we exhaust ourselves. But when we meet it like the mountain, steady, patient, anchored, the wind eventually passes. It cannot move what is grounded in stillness. This is not stubbornness. It's the quiet power of knowing who you are and what matters. It's letting life blow through you without carrying you away. Meditative imagery. Affirmations. Close your eyes. Imagine yourself standing on solid ground, your feet planted deep into the earth. The wind moves around you cool, restless, shifting, but you remain steady. You don't need to fight it. You don't need to follow it. You are the mountain. Breathe slowly and repeat. I am steady in the storms of life. I stand rooted in my truth. I let life's winds pass without losing myself. The wind learned that day that not everything yields to its movement. And the mountain knew that true peace was not in resisting the wind, but in simply remaining what it had always been. Chapter 8. 2 Arrows. One day, the Buddha gathered his students and asked, "If a person is struck by an arrow, will it hurt?" They nodded. "Of course." He continued, "If they are struck by a second arrow, will it hurt even more?" Again, they agreed. The Buddha looked at them quietly and said, "In life, the first arrow is what happens to you. The second arrow is how you respond to it." Reflection. The first arrow is pain, the loss of a friend, the ending of a relationship, the sudden change you didn't expect. It's the part you cannot always avoid. Life will pierce you from time to time. The second arrow is suffering the stories we tell ourselves about the pain. This should never have happened. I'll never recover from this. I'm cursed, unlucky, broken. The first arrow is sharp, but the second arrow often cuts deeper because we keep driving it in ourselves. When we stop shooting that second arrow, we begin to see pain for what it is: temporary, changing, of part of being human. We can meet it with compassion instead of resistance. This doesn't mean we welcome pain, but we learn not to add to it. We give ourselves the grace of feeling without spiraling. Meditative imagery. Affirmations. Close your eyes. Picture yourself standing in a field. A single arrow lands near you, sharp, sudden, startling. You notice it, acknowledge it, but you do not pick up another arrow to aim at yourself. You let the first arrow be what it is, and then you let it pass. Breathe deeply and repeat softly, "I feel my pain without adding more suffering. I release the stories that make wounds deeper. I choose compassion over resistance." The Buddha's teaching was simple. Pain will visit you, but suffering, that's an arrow you never have to shoot. Chapter 9. The Bamboo That Bends. In a quiet grove on the edge of a village, there stood a forest of bamboo. Through summer heat, autumn rain, winter snow, and spring winds, the bamboo swayed but never broke. One day, a young boy asked the old gardener who cared for the grove, "Why is it that storms never destroy the bamboo?" The gardener smiled and pointed to the tallest stalks. "They survive because they do not resist the wind. They bend, they bow, and then they rise again." Reflection. We're often taught that strength means holding firm no matter what, refusing to bend, refusing to yield. But the bamboo teaches another kind of strength, the strength of flexibility. When life's storms come, and they will, rigidity can cause us to snap under the weight. But when we can bend, when we can adapt without losing our roots, we survive. Flexibility is not weakness. It is a deep, quiet resilience. It's knowing that you can be moved, but you cannot be uprooted. When we stop resisting every gust of change and instead sway with it, we find we are still standing when the wind passes. Meditative imagery. Affirmations. Close your eyes. Picture yourself as a tall bamboo stalk. The wind moves around you, sometimes gentle, sometimes fierce. You sway gracefully, your roots anchored deep in the soil. No matter how far you bend, you return upright, alive, untouched at your core. Breathe slowly and repeat. I bend without breaking. Change does not uproot me. I am rooted in my true self, no matter the wind. The gardener never worried when storms approached. He knew that the bamboo had already learned the secret of survival, not resisting the wind, but dancing with it. Chapter 10. The Master Sleeps. While the temple burns. One summer night, a small temple in the mountains caught fire. The wind carried the flames quickly from one wooden beam to another. Villagers ran with buckets of water, shouting, panicking, trying to save what they could. In the middle of the chaos, one of the monks searched for the headmaster and found him lying in his room, fast asleep. "Master," the monk cried, "the temple is burning." The old man opened his eyes slowly, smiled, and said, "Yes, but so is the mountain at sunset, and tomorrow it will be green again." Then he closed his eyes and returned to sleep. Reflection. At first, this seems impossible to understand. How can someone remain calm while everything around them is falling apart? But the master understood something the others did not. The temple was never meant to last forever. Nothing is. When we cling tightly to what is already passing away, we suffer twice. Once from the loss itself, and again from our refusal to accept it. There is a stillness that comes when you see clearly. All things change, all things end, and yet life continues. It's not about ignoring the fire. It's about knowing that panic will not put it out, and that sometimes the only thing left is to let the flames take what they will. Meditative imagery. Affirmations. Close your eyes. Imagine you are sitting in a quiet room. Outside, you hear the crackle of fire, but you are safe in this moment. The walls may change, the place you know may not be the same tomorrow. And still, you breathe. You remain. Breathe in deeply and repeat softly. I accept the impermanence of all things. I find peace even in changing times. I am safe in the present moment. The next day, the temple was gone, but the villagers found the master sweeping the ashes, humming softly. He had already let go, and in that letting go, he was free. Chapter 11. The door you were always in. A young seeker once travelled for weeks to find a great Zen master. When he finally arrived at the temple, he bowed deeply and said, "Please, show me the way in." The master looked at him for a long moment, then asked, "Where have you come from?" "I've been wandering from village to village," the seeker replied. "Everywhere I go, I look for the entrance to peace, but I can't find it." The master pointed to the ground where they stood. "This is it." Well, the seeker frowned. "But we're still outside." The master shook his head gently. "You've been inside the whole time." Reflection. How many of us are searching for peace as if it were somewhere far away, hidden in a new job, a different city, a future version of ourselves? We keep walking, looking for a door that will lead us to the life we want, not realizing that we've been standing in it all along. Peace is not a place we arrive at. It's the space we choose to open inside ourselves, right here, right now. When we stop resisting the life we already have, when we stop insisting it must look different before we can rest, we see it clearly. We are already in the room we've been trying to enter. Meditative imagery. Affirmations. Close your eyes. Imagine you are standing before a large wooden door. It's simple, with a warm glow spilling from the other side. You reach out to push it open and realize your hand passes right through. There was never a wall. You were already inside. Breathe deeply and repeat, "I am already where I need to be." Peace is here, in this moment. I stop searching and start seeing. The seeker stayed at the temple for many years, not because he needed to enter, but because he wanted to keep remembering that he was never outside. Chapter 12. The Bird on the Branch. One afternoon, a Zen master pointed to a small bird perched high on a branch. The wind swayed the tree gently, but the bird remained calm, its feathers smooth, its eyes soft. A student asked, "Does the bird trust the branch not to break?" The master shook his head. "No, the bird trusts its own wings." Reflection. We often place our sense of safety in the branches of life. A job, a relationship, a bank account, a routine. When those branches feel steady, we relax. When they shake, we panic. But the truth is, no branch lasts forever. Some will break without warning, Some will bend so far they can no longer hold you. If your peace depends on the branch, it will always be fragile. The bird reminds us, security comes from within, from the quiet knowing that, whatever happens, we have the wings to meet it. When we stop resisting the fact that branches will change, we begin to trust our ability to move with life, to rise when it shifts beneath us. Meditative imagery. Affirmations. Close your eyes. Imagine yourself as that small bird, resting on a branch in the warm afternoon light. The wind comes soft at first, then stronger. The branch shakes, but you feel no fear. You spread your wings, knowing you can take flight at any moment. Breathe deeply and repeat. I trust my ability to adapt. My peace is not tied to circumstances. I carry my safety within me. The student watched the bird take flight, rising above the swaying trees. It didn't wait for the branch to stay still. It simply trusted its wings. Chapter 13. The Stone in the River. In a wide, shallow river, there was a stone that had been sitting in the same place for hundreds of years. The water rushed past it in spring, trickled around it in summer, froze near it in winter, and swelled again in the autumn rains. Sometimes fish darted by, sometimes leaves gathered in the eddies, sometimes ice pressed against its sides. Through it all, the stone did not move. But if you looked closely, you would see that the stone had been shaped over time. Its sharp edges had been smoothed. Its surface had been polished by years of water passing over it. It remained in place, but it was not unchanged. Reflection. There is a strength in staying grounded, but there is also wisdom in allowing life to shape us. If we resist every current, we become rigid and brittle. If we let ourselves be swept away, we lose our center. The stone in the river teaches the middle way, to hold our place while allowing life to refine us. We can face the seasons, the floods and the droughts without needing to run from them or cling to them. Instead of resisting every touch, we let experience smooth away what no longer serves us. Meditative imagery. Affirmations. Close your eyes. Imagine yourself as that stone, resting in the cool riverbed. You feel the water move over you, sometimes gentle, sometimes strong. Each current shapes you, but your core remains whole. Breathe slowly and repeat. I remain grounded through life's changes. I allow experience to shape me without breaking me. I am steady, yet open to growth. The stone never tried to stop the river. It simply allowed itself to be part of it. And in that quiet surrender, it became smoother, stronger, and more beautiful than it had ever been. Chapter 14. The Tea and the Storm. One evening, dark clouds gathered over a small village. The wind rose, rattling shutters, and rain began to fall in heavy sheets. Thunder cracked in the distance, echoing through the hills. In a small tea house at the edge of the village, a Zen master sat quietly at a low table. Steam rose from his cup, curling into the air. A young villager burst inside, his face pale with fear. "Master, how can you sit here drinking tea while the storm rages outside?" The master looked up, smiling softly. "The storm is outside. The tea is here." Reflection. When chaos surrounds us, the mind often rushes to match its pace. Storm meeting storm. We believe that our anxiety somehow helps, as if by joining the wind we can make it pass more quickly. But the Master reminds us there is always a quiet place inside that the storm cannot reach. It may be a breath, a small ritual, or a moment of stillness in the middle of noise. Finding that place does not make the storm disappear, but it gives us shelter until it passes. When we stop resisting the fact that storms will come, we can focus on keeping the tea warm, on being present with what is still within our hands. Meditative imagery. Affirmations. Close your eyes. Imagine sitting in a small, warm tea house. The rain beats against the roof, the wind howls at the windows, But inside, the light is soft. Your hands wrap around a warm cup. You take a slow sip, and the storm fades into the background. Breathe deeply and repeat. I carry calm within me, even in chaos. I focus on what I can hold, not what I cannot control. My peace is not at the mercy of the storm. Outside, the storm eventually moved on. The sky cleared, and the village returned to its rhythm. But in the tea house, the tea had been warm all along. Chapter 15. The Finger Pointing to the Moon. One night, a group of students sat outside with their Zen master under the clear, dark sky. The moon hung full and bright above the horizon, its light spilling over the garden. The master raised his hand and pointed to it. "Look," he said, "the moon." The students gazed at the glowing sphere in awe. But one student kept staring at the master's finger. The master noticed and spoke gently. "Do not mistake the finger for the moon. Reflection, teachings, books, teachers, all of these are like the finger pointing to the moon. They can guide you toward truth, but they are not truth itself. We often confuse the symbol for the reality. We hold on to words, rituals, rules, as if they are the final destination, forgetting that their purpose is to point us beyond themselves. The moon's beauty is not in the pointing, it is in the direct experience, the seeing for yourself. When we resist letting go of the guide and stepping into our own view, we remain forever staring at the finger. Zen asks us to look up, to see clearly, to experience truth with our own eyes. Meditative imagery. Affirmations. Close your eyes. Imagine standing in a quiet garden at night. Above you, the moon glows in perfect stillness. You are not looking at a picture of it, not hearing someone describe it. You are seeing it directly. Breathe deeply and repeat. I seek direct experience of truth. I let go of clinging to symbols. I look beyond the pointing to see the real. The students never forgot that night. The master had not only pointed to the moon, he had reminded them that the journey was not about the finger at all. It was about learning to look up. Chapter 16. The Calligrapher's Brush. In a quiet workshop, a master calligrapher prepared to create a scroll for the temple. He ground the ink slowly, feeling the stone beneath the brush, letting his mind settle into silence. When the paper was ready, he began his work. Each stroke was steady, each curve alive with intention. But as he reached the final character, his hand slipped. The ink bled into the paper, leaving an uneven mark. The apprentice watching gasped, "Master, it's ruined!" The calligrapher smiled. He studied the mark for a moment, then added a few more strokes around it, transforming the flaw into a flourish. "Nothing," he said softly, "is beyond becoming part of the art. Reflection. We spend so much time resisting mistakes, covering them up, hiding them away, pretending they never happened. But life is not meant to be a perfect, unbroken line. It is an ever-changing piece of calligraphy, and even the slips of the brush can be turned into something beautiful. When we stop fighting against the marks we didn't plan, we find ways to weave them into the whole of our story. Sometimes, the places where life bled outside the lines are the places that make the picture worth looking at. Meditative imagery. Affirmations. Close your eyes. Imagine a long sheet of paper in front of you. You hold a brush in your hand. With each breath, you make a smooth stroke, and once the brush slips. Instead of throwing the paper away, you breathe, and you find a way to turn that mark into part of the beauty. Breathe slowly and repeat. My mistakes can become part of my art. I release the need for perfection. I turn flaws into beauty. The calligrapher's scroll still hangs in the temple to this day, not because it was flawless, but because it carried the quiet truth. Nothing is wasted in the hands of acceptance. Chapter 17. The Empty Boat. A man was rowing his small boat across a quiet lake at dawn. The water was smooth, the mist just beginning to lift, and the world felt utterly still. Suddenly, Another boat drifted toward him, gliding silently until it bumped against his side. Annoyed, he shouted, "Watch where you're going." But then he saw the other boat was empty. No one had been steering it at all. His anger dissolved instantly. Later, he told a Zen master about the experience. The master smiled and said, "If you can see all of life's collisions as empty boats, you will be free from unnecessary anger." Reflection: when someone bumps into us in life, with words, with actions, with mistakes, we often react as if they did it with full intention to harm. We forget that much of the time they are simply drifting in their own current, steered by their own storms, not even aware they've collided with us. If we can see these moments as empty boats, we stop wasting energy on resentment. We can let the bump pass without adding the weight of personal offense. This isn't about excusing harmful behavior. It's about freeing ourselves from the constant battle of taking everything personally. Meditative imagery. Affirmations. Close your eyes. Picture yourself on a quiet lake, rowing gently. Another boat drifts toward you, bumping your side softly. You look inside and see that it's empty. You smile and you keep moving forward. Breathe slowly and repeat. I let go of taking things personally. I see others' actions without adding blame. I choose peace over reaction. The man on the lake never forgot the lesson. It wasn't the bump that had disturbed his peace. It was the story he had told himself about it. Once the story was gone, so was the anger. Chapter 18. The Falling Leaf. In the temple garden, autumn had arrived. The air was cool, the sunlight softer, and the trees were dressed in shades of gold and amber. A young monk swept the path each morning, but no matter how many leaves he gathered, more would fall by the afternoon. Frustrated, he asked the head gardener, "How can I keep the path clean if the leaves keep falling?" The gardener knelt down, picked up a single leaf, and held it out to the monk. "Why do you call this a mess?" he said, "when it is simply the season changing?" Reflection. We often resist endings. We call them losses, failures, disappointments. We see the falling leaf and think only of the empty branch. But endings are not mistakes. They are part of the rhythm of life. The tree does not cling to its leaves when the time comes. It lets them go so it can rest, so it can grow again when the season turns. When we learn to meet endings with the same quiet acceptance, we stop trying to sweep away the natural flow of life. We can see the beauty in each leaf's final fall. Meditative imagery. Affirmations. Close your eyes. Imagine walking along a garden path in autumn. Leaves drift slowly down from the trees above, turning in the air before they rest on the ground. You don't rush to pick them up. You simply watch them fall, each one a graceful goodbye. Breathe deeply and repeat. I accept the endings in my life. I trust that each ending makes space for renewal. I let go with grace as the trees let go of their leaves. The young monk stopped sweeping so often. He still cared for the path, but he no longer fought the season, and in that surrender, he finally saw how beautiful the garden had always been. Chapter 19. The Lantern and the Wind. In a small mountain village, a lantern festival was held every winter night. The villagers would light paper lanterns and place them along the winding paths, turning the dark streets into rivers of soft, golden light. One year, the wind was especially strong. Lanterns flickered and went out almost as soon as they were lit. A young boy grew frustrated. "What's the point?" he muttered. "No matter how many I light, the wind will blow them out." An old woman, carrying her own lantern, stopped beside him. She cupped her hands around the flame, shielding it from the gusts until it steadied. "The wind will always come," she said gently. "Your task is not to stop it, but to keep your light alive." Even it's mocking. Reflection. Life will always bring winds. Change, uncertainty, challenge, loss. We can't stop them from blowing, but we can choose how we protect the light within us. Our light might be our kindness, our patience, our hope. It is not immune to being shaken, but it can be shielded, nourished, kept alive. When we stop resisting the existence of the wind, we put our energy where it matters, into guarding what we can and letting the rest pass through. Meditative imagery. Affirmations. Close your eyes. Picture yourself holding a small paper lantern. The flame inside flickers as the wind brushes past, but you cup your hands around it, feeling its warmth against your skin. The wind does not frighten you now. You know how to keep the light alive. Breathe slowly and repeat. I protect the light within me. I focus on what I can keep steady. My inner flame stays alive through all seasons. That night, the boy kept lighting lanterns along the path, shielding each one until the flame was steady. The wind still came and went, but the path glowed long after the night had ended. Chapter 20. The Master and the Broken Bowl. In a small Zen temple, a master owned a simple clay bowl he had used for decades. It wasn't ornate or valuable, but it was the bowl he used every day for rice and tea. One morning, while washing it, the bowl slipped from his hands and cracked cleanly into 2 pieces. The apprentice watching gasped, "Master, I'll find you a new one." But the master shook his head. He picked up the pieces and carefully glued them back together. When the crack was sealed, he took powdered gold and traced it along the break, turning the fracture into a shimmering vein. Holding it up to the light, he said, "Now it is even more beautiful." Reflection. In Japan, there is an art called kintsugi, repairing broken pottery with gold, not to hide the cracks, but to honor them as part of the object's history. We often resist our own cracks, the moments we've been hurt, the mistakes we've made, the losses we've endured. We want to hide them away, to pretend they never happened. But what if, instead, we honored them? What if we saw them not as flaws, but as the golden lines that tell our story? When we stop resisting our imperfections, we can see how they shape us into something unique, something even more beautiful than before. Meditative imagery. Affirmations. Close your eyes. Imagine a broken bowl in your hands. You carefully fit the pieces together, sealing the crack with warm gold. The bowl is whole again, but its history is visible, and that history is what makes it precious. Breathe slowly and repeat. I honor my scars as part of my beauty. I do not need to hide my imperfections. My past has shaped me into something unique. The master continued to use the bowl every day, not in spite of its cracks, but because of them. It reminded him, and everyone who saw it, that brokenness, when embraced, can become a kind of treasure. Chapter 21. The Gate that Opens Inward. A traveller once came upon a large wooden gate blocking the path to a temple. He pushed hard against it, but it wouldn't budge. He stepped back, took a running start, and slammed his shoulder into it. Still, it stayed closed. Frustrated, he sat down on the dusty road, sweating and breathless. An old monk passing by stopped and asked, "Why are you pushing so hard?" "I need to get inside," the traveller said. "This gate won't open." The monk smiled and stepped forward. With a gentle pull, the gate swung open inward. Reflection. How often do we exhaust ourselves, pushing against life, when what's needed is the opposite of our effort? We believe that more force will get us through, that if we just push harder, life will yield. But sometimes, the way forward is not in pushing, but in stepping back, changing our approach, or allowing the door to open in its own way. Resistance often comes from assuming that our way is the only way. When we release that assumption, we may find the path was open all along, just not in the direction we expected. Meditative imagery. Affirmations. Close your eyes. Picture yourself standing before a large wooden gate. You've been pushing on it for hours, but now you pause. You place your hand gently on the wood and pull instead of push. The gate opens effortlessly, and the path ahead is clear. Breathe deeply and repeat. I am open to new ways of moving forward. I release the need to force outcomes. I trust that the right doors will open in their time. The traveller walked through the gate with ease, realizing that the obstacle had never been the gate. It had been his own assumption about how it should open. Chapter 22. The cloud over the mountain. High in the mountains, a monk liked to meditate at the same spot every morning. From there, he could see the whole valley spread out below, bathed in golden light. One day, as he sat in silence, a thick cloud rolled in, covering the valley completely. The mountains, the trees, the distant villages, all vanished into white mist. Another monk passing by asked, "Does it bother you that your view is gone?" The first monk smiled. The mountain is still there. The cloud will pass. Reflection. Our thoughts are like clouds. Some are light and pass quickly. Others are heavy, slow, and seem to linger. When a cloud of worry or fear settles over us, it can feel as if it has swallowed everything. Our peace, our clarity, our hope. But the truth is, just like the valley beneath the cloud, what matters is still there. The cloud is only passing through. Resisting the cloud doesn't make it disappear faster. If anything, it keeps us staring at it longer. But if we let it come, let it stay as long as it must, and trust that it will move on, we remain grounded in what is unchanged beneath it. Meditative imagery. Affirmations. Close your eyes. Imagine standing on a mountain peak. A great cloud drifts in, covering the view. You can't see the valley now, but you know it's still there. You take a slow breath, watching the mist swirl, and eventually the first rays of sunlight pierce through. Breathe deeply and repeat. My peace is still here, even when I can't see it. I let thoughts pass without holding on. Every cloud moves on in its time. The monk stayed in his spot until the sun burned through the mist. The valley reappeared exactly as it had been, reminding him that clarity is not lost when clouds arrive. It is only hidden for a while. Chapter 23. The Fisherman's Net. At dawn, a fisherman pushed his small boat out into the lake. The water was calm, and the sky glowed with the first light of morning. He cast his net wide and waited. After some time, he pulled it in, but it was tangled with weeds, sticks, and heavy stones from the lake bed. Instead of throwing the net out again, he sat in his boat and tried to row back with the weight still inside. The boat moved slowly, and each stroke felt heavier than the last. An old friend rowing by called out, "Why not empty your net first?" The fisherman paused, laughed softly at himself, and began tossing the weeds and stones back into the lake. When the net was light again, the boat glided easily across the water. Reflection. We all carry nets in life, full of things we've picked up along the way. Some are valuable lessons. Others are just weeds, old grudges, unnecessary worries, outgrown responsibilities. When we resist letting go, we weigh ourselves down unnecessarily. We convince ourselves we must carry everything, even when it slows our journey to a crawl. Letting go is not losing. It's clearing space for what matters. It's allowing ourselves to move forward without dragging the lake bed with us. Meditative imagery. Affirmations. Close your eyes. Picture yourself in a small boat. In your hands, you hold a heavy net tangled with weeds and stones. You take a slow breath and begin tossing them back into the water, one by one. With each piece you release, the boat feels lighter. The water beneath you becomes easier to cross. Breathe deeply and repeat. I release what I no longer need. I carry only what supports my journey. Letting go makes me lighter. When the fisherman reached the shore, he still had enough fish for his meal, but he had left behind all the extra weight that had never been his to carry. Chapter 24. The Sand Mandala. In a quiet temple hall, a group of monks knelt on the floor, bent over a large wooden table. For weeks, they had been carefully placing grains of coloured sand, one by one, into an intricate mandala design. The patterns were breathtaking, circles within circles, petals unfolding into more petals, colours blending into perfect harmony. Visitors came from far away to watch the work. Many whispered about how beautiful it would be when it was complete. At last, after many days, the final grain of sand was placed. The mandala was perfect. And then, without hesitation, the monks took a small broom and swept it all away. Reflection. To an outsider, this might seem unthinkable. Why destroy something so beautiful? But the monks understood. The mandala was never meant to last. Its beauty was in the making, not in the keeping. We often resist letting go of beautiful moments, trying to hold them in place forever. But life moves forward, and every attempt to freeze it only leaves us clutching at what can't be held. When we embrace impermanence, we can enjoy the moment fully while it's here. Knowing it's passing does not diminish its worth. The art of life is in living each grain, each breath, without needing it to stay. Meditative imagery. Affirmations. Close your eyes. Imagine creating a mandala from soft, coloured sand. You spend hours shaping it, watching the patterns emerge. When it's complete, you take a slow, deep breath and sweep it away, not with sadness, but with gratitude for having created it at all. Breathe deeply and repeat. I accept the impermanence of all things. I cherish each moment as it comes. Letting go does not erase the beauty of what was. The monks left the empty table as it was. The mandala was gone, but its beauty remained in their memory, in their practice, and in the hearts of all who had seen it. Chapter 25. Returning to the flow. The river has carried us far tonight, through bamboo groves that bend with the wind, past mountains that stand unmoved, under moons that cannot be stolen, and through gates we didn't know we'd already stepped through. Each story has been a ripple in the water, a reminder that resistance is not strength, flow is. Now, as the journey comes to its quiet end, you may notice something has shifted. Your breath is slower. Your body feels heavier, as if it's settling deeper into the ground. Your mind has softened, like water smoothing over stones. You've been reminded that you can let go of the second arrow of suffering, of the past you've been carrying, of the need to control what changes with the seasons. Reflection. Life will always bring the unexpected. Winds that rattle the lanterns, clouds that hide the view, and branches that sometimes break. But it will also bring you moments to rest, cups to refill, and a steady river that will carry you forward if you stop fighting it. You are not here to resist every bend in the path. You are here to walk it, to see its beauty, to trust that each turn leads you somewhere you need to be. The flow of life is not your enemy. It is the water that keeps you moving, even when you feel still. Meditative imagery. Affirmations. Close your eyes. Imagine yourself standing in a gentle river at dusk. The current moves around your legs, cool and steady. You release a small branch into the water and watch it drift away, carried without effort. You take a deep breath and feel yourself being carried too, not away from life, but deeper into it. Breathe slowly and repeat. I let go of resistance. I move with the flow of life. I trust that the river knows the way. When you open your eyes, whether it's now or after sleep, you will carry these stories with you, not as rules to follow, but as gentle reminders that you can choose to stop resisting. At any moment, the river will always be here, and you will always know how to return to its flow.